Surprise!
Lucy, you sure this isn't suicide?
Come on, Jay. Ming's here.
Woods
Is perfect.
Wait, you're here too? Rose? Don't panic. Enough!
Hello there, Richard the Film Geek here, and I'm here to give you guys my surprise review of the 19-minute animated short film Moose on the Loose, which is written, directed, edited, voiced, and animated for the first time by my good friend Harry Thomas, aka Harry Thomas Pictures, which, by the way, surprise, apparently took him just less than a year to animate, was uploaded onto his official YouTube channel on the 1st of October 2023, and is technically not just Harry's second short film overall after Your Imagination, which he made and uploaded on the 20th of October 2016, but also technically his second full attempt at animation after his claymation adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. The brief story of Moose on the Loose, which I can almost perfectly describe as the Blair Witch Project meets Super 8 with a teensy tiny bit of Jurassic Park, is about an aspiring filmmaker named Lucy Hoos who heads to Main-Tier Woods at nightfall with her boyfriend Jay Moss to shoot a movie for an upcoming film festival, only to then encounter a terrifying killer moose named Manrus, who kills Jay and wreaks havoc during the film's production, and it's up to Lucy, her mother, and their friends to avenge Jay's death by protecting the forest, discovering why Man Russ is terrorizing everyone, and bring him down. So now that I've finally randomly decided to check out this short film as a surprise little favour for my good friend Harry Thomas, after needlessly boring myself silly, here are my brief thoughts on Moose on the Loose. I have to be honest and frank with you, Harry. It was alright.
What?
Nah, of course I'm joking. To perfectly paraphrase Hagrid's quote from Prisoner of Azkaban, well done for your work here, Harry. Well done. I don't think it's perfect though, and of course there are a few certain obvious technical issues I have with the film that Ollie Pajak, aka Pajak's Perspective, Ross the movie reviewer, and one other critic have already pointed out, and that you may indeed need to constructively improve on for your next film. But otherwise, if this is your first daring attempt to demonstrate to us what you absolutely have the potential to be capable of as a future filmmaker or even animator, Harry, then wow, is this a good first attempt. What really impressed me about this film is how much of a real, genuine, sincere, beating heart it has, which sadly a large majority of animated feature films these days are sorely lacking. The first thing I really have to praise this film for is the animation style. Granted that this is basically the exact same drawing style that Harry usually implements within a large majority of his videos anyway, I'm actually pleasantly surprised and shocked by how immersed I was watching these drawings come to life before my eyes. So immersed, in fact, I almost completely forgot I was watching a bunch of obvious paper drawings on the screen. It's honestly very unique, very creative, very visually impressive to look at, especially during the action-packed climax towards the end. You can obviously tell Harry locked himself away for days and did all of these drawings by himself without ever losing concentration or train of thought. A work ethic for which I sincerely have to respectfully tip my hat off to him. And call me crazy for saying this, even though I'm dead serious. You're so damn talented at what you do, Harry, that Nick Park badly needs to hire you for a future animation job at Aardman. Which perfectly leads me to talking about the characters, especially that of our main protagonist, Lucy, who is very likable, very relatable, and has a surprisingly touching and heartwarming relationship with her mother, which provides the overall emotional core of the film. The titular moose on the loose, Manrus, is such a surprisingly legit, scary, and terrifying antagonist. The best way I can describe this character is he is basically Bambi if he became a dangerously rogue and vengeful killer as a tragic result of his mother being killed, and basically shared the exact same justified motivation and burning hatred towards humankind as Shere Khan from the Jungle Book. Once you get to understand his motivation and why he's doing what he's doing, you do feel a semblance of pity for him on the one hand, but on the other hand, it doesn't really condone the horrific things he does in the film. As I stated earlier, despite the brief praise I'm giving this film, it's not perfect. The first issue I have with this film is the underdevelopment of some of the characters like Jay and a couple other side characters. I just didn't really find them quite as interesting as Lucy, her mother, and Manrus, and I really wish they could have been a bit more fleshed out and developed a bit better. So that's maybe one thing you definitely need to constructively consider improving on for your next film, Harry. The second issue is with the sound mixing and the score, which feels a bit off at times, is really damn difficult to properly listen to, and honestly sounds way too much like a television screen with the volume turned down. So maybe for next time, Harry, you need to come up with an actual score and or soundtrack which is much easier to listen to. The third issue I have with this film is frankly the noticeable lack of individual distinction when it comes to the voiceovers. Don't get me wrong though, huge kudos to Harry for taking it upon himself to voice all of these characters. And after all, there is precedent for such a brave undertaking like this. Maurice Denham voicing all the characters in the 1954 animated film adaptation of Animal Farm being the most famous example. But I'm not going to lie, it just becomes distracting and thus really hard to tell who is who because they sound exactly the same without any subtle difference or change in the voice or even a different accent for each of the characters, if you know what I mean. Plus, it doesn't exactly help that nearly each of the voices sound robotic, almost like they're Daleks or Cybermen, or even some of the Trade Federation battle droids from the Phantom Menace. Not necessarily the fault of the voice acting itself, though, but rather more to do with the editing, which I am going to touch on in a moment. So, with that said, and with all due respect, Harry, I have to agree with and reiterate the point Ollie brought up in his review of this short, that for your next film, you may need to consider the idea of hiring a more individually talented ensemble voice cast. I mean, heck, Ollie is a professional actor himself, as well as a filmmaker, and he has maybe like a few dozen other fellow actors working alongside him collaboratively on his projects anyway. So why the hell not hire these guys to help you and or star in your next film? Heck, even I'm clearly having fun making voiceover videos on my own channel at the moment, so why the hell not even hire me to do some future voice work? If so, I'd obviously be very happy to help. And whatever script you email me with or whatever, and whatever role you want me to play, I'd absolutely be down for it 100%, and happy to do the very best I can with any material I'm given. And of course, the fourth and final issue I have with this film is with the editing, which sadly lets the film down a bit for me. Not that it necessarily horribly damages the viewing experience for me personally in any way, but it's just very jumpy, slightly awkward, constantly stop-starting, literally throughout the entire film, and it feels like it's edited in a way that I would imagine AI editing an animated feature film today. Don't get me wrong, Harry. In a way, I understand and sympathise with the fact that admittedly you're not the greatest when it comes to editing your videos. But regardless, again, with all due respect, you know I know this is the one area you badly need to consider improving on the most for your next film. Maybe with the use of another video editing app like iMovie, or some professional editing software, or heck, even ask me and or Ollie to help edit your next film for you. It's not even really that difficult to ask, if you don't mind me politely saying, Harry. In conclusion, despite the few obvious shortcomings I've pointed out, especially on the technical side, I had more of a surprisingly good time checking out Moose on the Loose than I expected I would. It has huge heart, good drama, good action, a relatable protagonist, as well as a scary antagonist, and especially unique animation that only has the potential to get even better from here. In case you want to check this film out for yourself, I will very kindly leave a link to the film in the description. And with all that being said, you should be mighty impressed with what you've achieved here, Harry. There is always room for improvement, and of course very much looking forward to see what you do next. Have a little glass of apple juice on me, and my overall rating for Moose on the Loose is going to be a strong 7.5 out of 10. Don't forget to do the following few things as always. Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on Moose on the Loose. Subscribe to my channel as well as Harry Thomas Pictures official channel. Click on the little bell to receive any emailed notifications and or updates from my channel. If you haven't already, you can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd and Blue Sky. Do take care, everyone. And to politely borrow Harry's quote from the end of his videos, movies are us.